According to the Centers for Disease Control, in 2022, nearly 108,000 people died of a drug overdose. That's approximately 296 people each day. That's about one person every 5 minutes. Overdose is taking many lives from us in the community around us, and I think it is important that I touch on a few points about substance use disorder and the effects on the body, the steps it takes to getting into sobriety, and long-term sobriety becoming a culture. I choose this topic because not everyone understands that substance use disorder is a disease. So let's start by talking about the disease itself and what it does to the person's brain and body. Substance use puts a major impact on the way that the brain works. The substance rewires the brain, limiting the dopamine that the brain produces. The substance is bringing in a lot more dopamine and supplying the brain with a lot more dopamine than what the body produces. So the body stops producing the dopamine because it's already there, hitting the receptors. So once the person stops using substances, they are normally left with little happiness, little pleasure doing anything. But the brain is a powerful organ, so it can, over time, it can rewire itself to produce the correct amount of dopamine, and that happiness and the happiness and pleasure doing things will come back. It all depends on the amount of time. It depends on the substance being used, and that usually could take from 1 month to 18 months. Substance use can cause multiple short-term and long-term health effects. In Medical News Today, published June 20th, 2022 by Jamie Eske talks about the effects of substance use, and I would like to touch on some of the long-term effects that Eske mentioned. Substance use disorder can lead to liver disease, heart disease, pancreatitis, multiple forms of cancer, HIV, hepatitis, and other infections. A lot of the long-term effects can potentially take someone's life if they don't get the help that is needed. And often people who struggle with substance use disorder don't get the help that is needed because the stigma, they are labeled, they are judged. Who would want to go get some help when you feel like everyone's judging you? This is a very serious crisis going on in the United States today, and I believe it is important that communities get the information needed to understand substance use disorder to help break the stigma. Once again, substance use disorder is a disease, just like cancer. Even though there is no cure for substance use disorder, there are many steps that a person can take to get the help they need to achieve long-term sobriety. The first step would be reach out to your loved ones, reach out to people that support you, friends that support you, anyone that supports you seeking sobriety. And then you would start by looking for a treatment center that would be able to give you an assessment. If you don't know where to start, what's really cool nowadays, communities now have peer recovery specialists that will help you, find where to start. If you don't have insurance, they'll help you get to the county to get insurance. They'll take you if you don't have transportation. They'll pick you up if you don't have transportation. It is very cool thing that they have in the community. From there, once the assessment done, that kind of places you from your ratings on your assessment. It'll place you in either a high intensity inpatient treatment, a high intensity outpatient treatment, or a low intensity outpatient treatment. Usually high intensity inpatient is usually between 30 to 60 days, and the outpatients are different. It all depends on the program. kind of all depends on the program anywhere. There is one program in Minnesota that is a 13-month long inpatient program. So from inpatient, the person usually would then go to an outpatient program, and possibly in sober living. There is where they are reintegrated back into the community, and learn how to live substance free. These are only a few of the first few steps of achieving sobriety, but they're geared to set the person who struggles with substance use disorder to achieve sobriety. I think this information is very important for anyone to receive. You never know who may be struggling. Often the person struggling is just ashamed to reach out and ask for help, so this information is good for anybody. So we have talked about the effects that it does to your body. We have talked about some of the steps getting into sobriety. And now I would like to talk about sobriety becoming a culture. And I would like to share my interview with Tiffany and how her life has changed once she found recovery. While living in sobriety, the person with substance use disorder learns to live all over again. They learn who they are. They learn to love themselves all over again. Each day working to better themselves mentally, physically, and financially. They can build strong relationships with people they have met in recovery, and even stronger support systems. I was able to interview Tiffany on 3/23/2025, and upon the interview, I found out that Tiffany has 5 years in long-term recovery. Within those 5 years, she has explained how she had completely changed her life around. Tiffany explained while in treatment, she found a sponsor while attending meetings. Her sponsor was able to guide her through her emotions, through her thoughts, her actions. She needed somebody there to help with her emotions because every other time she would use substances to numb her emotions. So she needed that extra help. Once she completed an inpatient program, she applied to sober living homes in the community that she was going to outpatient. She attended tons of self-help groups, NA, AA, and found that sponsor. The sponsor made her do service work, and she said that service work made her life only better. From service work and attending meetings, she had a second family that understood her. She explained that her real family doesn't understand substance use disorder. They think it is a choice and they don't believe that it is a disease, but it is a disease. Tiffany explains that she has received a lot from sobriety and how it has changed her life for the better. Tiffany states that she not only lives in long-term recovery, but it is her culture and she practices it every day. I was able to ask Tiffany a couple questions, and one question I did ask her is, what self-help book would you give to someone else that is fresh into recovery? And Tiffany said, Living Clean, The Journey Continues. It is a Narcotics Anonymous book. Sobriety brings people together that have gone through the same things in life. Sobriety brings a whole new way of living, a better way of living. I believe long-term sobriety becomes a culture because it's a different way of living. So I've touched base on a variety of different topics relating to substance use disorder. And in conclusion, you might know someone that is struggling with substance use disorder. I know that help is always available, and they can speak with someone any time of the day by texting or calling 988.